Have you no shame? No shame at all? This is can you get any lower? I don't understand the man in that White House because he talks so much about Charlie Kirk and caring.
The first thing that caught viewers' attention was not Whoopi Goldberg's voice. It was the document resting in her hand. She kept it low near the table as the panel focused on the screen. A clip had just finished playing, showing Donald Trump's latest remarks packed with familiar accusations about fake news, unfair treatment, and people fabricating stories against him. When the video ended, Whoopi did not immediately respond. Instead, she allowed the silence to linger long enough for the audience to sense where the conversation was headed. Then she lifted her gaze and said, "The danger of calling everything a lie is that eventually the evidence shows up." The audience erupted in applause. She placed the document on the table and tapped it gently. Whoopi explained that she had no interest in yelling over Trump because loud arguments were often where his narratives felt most protected. Instead, she intended to slow things down and examine them piece by piece. One statement, one timeline, one inconsistency at a time. The audience leaned forward. This no longer felt like a routine television debate. It felt more like someone opening a case file in front of millions of viewers. But the real story was only beginning because Trump's discomfort did not start with a punchline. It started with a fact.
No shame at all? This is can you get any lower? I don't think so. And what do you have to say about what's happened around the world? Where is our voice as Americans? Somebody's got to speak up for us.
Whoopi began by reading Trump's claim that he had been treated worse than anyone else in political history. She then pointed out how frequently that exact argument surfaced whenever criticism became especially detailed. Questions about legal matters, elections, business dealings, or even late-night comedy all seemed to be framed as persecution. She remarked, "A person can face criticism without being persecuted, and someone in power can be questioned without automatically becoming a victim." The audience responded with strong applause. The screen shifted to a simple side-by-side display. One side showed Trump's original statement. The other showed what later records revealed. Rather than making dramatic accusations, Whoopi presented something arguably more powerful, a direct comparison. She read the first statement carefully, followed by the second, then paused while the panel absorbed the contrast. One co-host shook her head, while another leaned back with a knowing smile. The audience quickly recognized the pattern. Claim, correction. Attack the person offering the correction. Then came the moment that changed the atmosphere. Whoopi suggested that Trump's most damaging falsehoods were not necessarily the ones about himself. They were the ones that encouraged people to distrust every institution that challenged him.
Our hearts are breaking through all of this. Through Rob, through what's happened at Bondi Beach, what happened at Brown, and you don't find the time to say, as Americans, we hate what's happening. You ain't my president.
Journalists were labeled enemies. Courts were described as corrupt. Elections were portrayed as questionable. Prosecutors were dismissed as politically motivated. Anyone holding up a mirror was accused of shattering the reflection. The line resonated because it sounded familiar. For many older viewers across the United States, Canada, and Britain, the moment carried a deeper significance. They remembered a time when public figures could be held accountable for contradictions. They remembered when explanations had to be stronger than simply accusing opponents of dishonesty. Whoopi appealed directly to that memory. She stated, "The truth does not lose its power simply because it makes people uncomfortable. And a falsehood does not become noble or patriotic simply because it is delivered with certainty and volume." Yet that was only the opening stage of the discussion.
I got through. I did it like I do now. But here's where they really messed up. Watch.
They're talking about you in such a favorable light.
I want him to show his birth certificate. There's something on that birth certificate that he doesn't like.
Oh my God.
That's a terrible
That
thing
is
to
just
say.
the worst thing that he was 3 pounds.
The producers then rolled a brief montage showing Trump's responses to critics throughout the years. They did not play entire speeches, only the recurring pattern: insult, deny, redirect, repeat. When the segment ended and the camera returned to Whoopi, she was not smiling. Gesturing toward the screen, she said, "That is not strength. That is someone avoiding a question while acting like he is leading the crowd." The audience exploded with applause. At the same time, the show displayed a humorous graphic depicting Trump in a private room, phone in hand, visibly tense as the evidence appeared on screen. The image was intended as satire, but the reaction felt believable enough that viewers could easily imagine what might come next. A social media post criticizing Whoopi, attacking the show, insisting nobody watched, while simultaneously responding to every detail discussed. Looking directly into the camera, Whoopi delivered what became the sharpest line of the segment. "If none of this bothers you," she said, "then stop acting like the truth just knocked on your front door." The audience rose to its feet. The remark landed because it relied on timing rather than cruelty. Whether Trump's reaction was real or merely anticipated, it had already become part of the humor. The more he insisted he did not care, the more that insistence sounded like proof of the opposite. The more attention he gave to the messenger, the less attention he gave to the message itself. As the segment came to a close, Whoopi picked up the document and folded it neatly in half. She said the public was exhausted from being told to ignore what they could plainly see with their own eyes.